Hey, welcome back. Extra special visit from Syd Bolton here on a Wednesday. A little additional tech talk to get you through the middle of the work week. Happy Groundhog Day.
Same to you.
And you came out of your shadow, so what does that tell us?
That we're going to have two tech talk segments today. That's what it told me, actually.
It works out that way.
And they're very different, both of them, too.
Cool. So, topic?
Well, the first one we're going to talk about is, I don't know if you remember, a while ago we did a segment on the Sony has their PlayStation Move, where you can move around and control games.
You are the controller.
Well, that's actually the tagline for Microsoft's Kinect, actually.
Okay.
Because you are the controller. There is no controller. With the Move, there is one. But last week I did something interesting that was a little bit different. Of course, when we think about Microsoft and the Xbox and Kinect, we always think about it's a gaming thing, right? And most people think of gaming, well, some people might think of it as a waste of time. Others think of it as entertainment. But last week, what I actually did was I used Kinect for a team building exercise in a corporate environment.
How would you use a video game
in a corporate environment? Well, what I did was I took some traditional team building exercises. So in this case, I had a couple of different interesting projects. I have something called Zoom Story. If you've never heard of Zoom Story, it's great. It's the ability, you have to look at these 30 different photos that actually make up a story that if you were to zoom out from the picture, it's like snapshots along the way. It's sort of like, focusing in on something very close and then pulling the camera back until you're in space. And the group has to then try and put the photos in the correct order. And I assigned points for this kind of thing. And then in the next part, I used a map drawing exercise. And then I had a game of Corporate Jeopardy, which was a lot of fun. But in the end, what I did was I paired people up and brought out the Kinect and Microsoft Adventures, where you have to actually go on a raft together. And you have to try and collect pins along the way. And basically, you were paired up with somebody that maybe you don't know very well in the company. And you had to work together and try to get points. And basically, you were paired up against the other team, so you would compete for points that way. So that's how I actually was able to use a video game in a corporate environment. But it's really about team building and really getting people comfortable with each other.
And what were the results? Did it work out to what you were hoping for?
It worked out really well. We actually used the Kinect as the end of the day exercise because it's actually physical, right? And a lot of these people had never even played a video game in their life before. And some of them said, well, it's physical. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do that or whatever. But once they started doing it, they were actually really surprised. And the nice thing is that coming into it, there was two teams, yin and yang. And yin and yang were actually only, I think 200 points apart. And basically when you won one of these rounds, you got 100 points for your team. So it was really close going into that exercise. And of course, there was one clear winning team at the end, but I'll tell you, there was more hooting and hollering and laughing and everything else than I could just imagine. But I tried looking up to see if anyone else was using Kinect that way, and really I couldn't find any team building exercises. So I documented it on one of my websites, and we sent it off to Microsoft, and they actually sent it across their internal teams, and there's been some buzz about that being generated internally at Microsoft. So
you came up with this idea or this solution, but what was the question? Somebody brought it to you and said, Syd, we'd like to...
Well, really, it was about, I was tasked with doing some team building. And like I said, I've done a bunch of these things before. The Corporate Jeopardy, the Zoom Story, I've done those before. But I want to do something unique. So I was thinking, well, you know what, let's end off the day with something that everyone can participate in and sort of get over their fear, even if they have a fear of video games. A lot of people are intimidated by the controller. And the nice thing about Kinect is you are the controller. Right. There is no controller. So
now there's a thing going on right now I wanted to ask you about. I'm half watching commercials all the time. Are they building a computer right now to compete on Jeopardy?
Absolutely, yeah. It's you can find the
Winston,
video coverage
Watson?
on that. Watson. Based on one of the founders of IBM. And yeah, it's amazing. If you can find the video coverage out there. I've actually watched it. It's great. He actually he listens to the questions and decides if he has the right answer, buzzes in, and it's all real time. Like he's not pre-programmed with the questions of the Jeopardy. It's just like a person. He has a knowledge base to work from.
So why wouldn't a computer just wipe the floor with one of us based on knowledge and speed to get there?
Because the worst part about questions are context. If I ask you about a certain word,
right,
the context is really what makes up the answer, the potential answer correctly. And what it does is basically assess if it thinks it has the correct answer and what the probability of getting it right is. And then from there, it decides whether it will chime in. Now, mind you, in that round, it did win the round. So
okay, topic 2 when we get back is going to be?
Food.
Oh, I love it. Food. We're coming back with Syd Bolton in just a bit here on Inside Brant.